So I saw the Northern Lights for the first time the other night. I just went out into my hot tub and I wasn't expecting it. I haven't been watching the Space Weather News channel very often in the mornings like I used to. I should get back into that again. But I'm sitting out there and I'm kind of looking up and I was like, the fuck's going on here? Like, there's a lot of light in the sky. And I finally was like, I think this is the Northern Lights. So I like kind of went on the internet and I looked it up and it was like, yeah, you can see the Northern Lights in as low as Idaho tonight. And I was like, oh shit, it's the fucking Northern Lights. That's pretty cool. And it was nothing compared to like what you got to see. I was kind of surprised because like, I don't know when I looked this up, but I looked it up a while back and something told me like, oh, you can't really see the Northern Lights with your eyes.
Naked
you have
eye.
to like take a picture, but that wasn't the case at all. Like I could see the color just fine. And like the color that you got to see, like the picture that you sent me was incredible. Is that like what you got to see with your naked eye or was it better on the picture?
Oh, it was way better with the picture. It was so vibrant through, and that's what I told everybody I tried to text. You can, for the most part here, I could see some color, but compared to the picture I sent, how bright and vibrant those colors were, not even close to what you could see to the naked eye with your naked eye. But you could tell, and I've seen them probably like a handful of times. I'm sure it happens a lot more often, but it's just not people aren't made aware of it. You can kind of tell, but man, when you look through the lens, and it's weird too because even with a video, you try to take a video with your phone, not even close to what you can see with just taking like a still photo. I don't understand why exactly. I haven't looked into it, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess my phone doesn't have the right setting for it because it didn't really look much different through the picture that I took and like what I could see with my naked eye. And like I looked it up on like ChatGPT and it was like your iPad doesn't have it, your phone, like I don't know, it was I couldn't really tell and like I don't know, I just took a normal picture without any filters or anything like that and like that's just all I could see. I couldn't see any green at all. It was only like the red.
It was like purplish or red. Yeah.
So the funny
that's
thing
another.
Go ahead.
That's another thing because people. It seems to be that people with iPhones, not nearly the same resolution, but like I have an Android, and then you get the result. Like the picture that I sent you. I don't know what it is. It's got to be some sort of like settings or something. And
Dude,
the picture that I took, no filters, no nothing. It was just straight up like opened my camera, took a picture.
And the weird thing is it told me on the internet, if you have an old iPhone, it has the setting, but on the newer ones, it doesn't. So like, makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't know why you would get rid of a setting that would allow you to I don't know.
It's a conspiracy, man. It's a conspiracy.
It kind of plays into my conspiracy about the stars and light and how they don't want us to see the sky and all that.
They don't want you to see it.
No.
Have you think during this whole, because essentially, as far as I understand, the Northern Lights are basically a space, like ionosphere storm.
Yeah, it's a magnetic storm. Like this time we got to see him because there was a coronal mass ejection from the sun. So you get the solar wind that kind of bathes the planet and it excites the magnetosphere, essentially.
Yeah. So I, during this whole storm that's going on, my phone, my reception and everything has been dog shit. And
really?
Even, yeah. And I know that stuff will affect satellites and shit like that. Well, I don't know, but that's what I've read. But yeah, man, I was just curious. Have you noticed any kind of like cell reception stuff? It mostly was like, I'd open Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And then my phone just seems to be extra slow and just doesn't want to load shit.
Now,
but,
I haven't noticed shit. Did I send you a picture of the second night that I saw them?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I went out a couple nights later, and I look up in the sky, and it's like a different color. It's like more purple than red, and it was
I
in
think,
like
yeah.
a different part of the sky. So I like texted everybody, around. I texted my mom and my buddy, and I'm like, hey, the fuck. Actually, my buddy was the one that texted me about it. And so like I look at them, I'm sitting out in the hot tub, and it's cool. They go away after a little while. And then the next day, my mom texted me and she was like, hey, so those weren't the Northern Lights last night. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, of course it was. She was like, nope,
Yeah.
it was a greenhouse off of Chinden Boulevard. I'm like, no way. And then she kind of explains it. And I was like, fuck, it was in a different part of the sky than the night before, than the previous night.
Yeah.
And so like it was in the northern sky where the previous night it was like in the northeast and kind of more overhead than like it was the second night. It was kind of like closer to the horizon. So I texted my buddy and I was like, hey man, what direction was the Northern Lights in last night? And he was like, south. And I was like, God damn it. It was the fucking greenhouse because it was north for me
Yeah.
and south for you.
That's funny.
What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman, and back with us this week from the Badlands of southern Montana, it's Nolan 5150. What's up, dude? Rocking and rolling.
How's it going? Yeah. We're jamming, man. We're jamming. Making
2 weeks,
making moves.
2 weeks in a row. We're rocking 2 weeks in a row now. I mean, geez, it's a total turnaround at this point.
Well, priority shift.
Yeah, priority shift, right? Speaking of priority shift, fucking Trump all of a sudden decided it's time to release the Epstein files. And it's really annoying because he's been so against this for so fucking long now. It's a Democrat hoax and blah, 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 blah. So here's I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really fucking long. I don't know. Maybe I will. We'll see what happens. But he wrote this on Truth Social, of course, which nobody pays attention to. Nobody pays attention to any of this shit until it gets to Twitter because fucking why would you want to be on a social media site without liberals screaming and bitching and moaning? Like that's half the fun of social media is to see these psychopaths, hang themselves with their own words. So like, I don't know. I've never even made a Truth Social account because I don't fucking care. Like last thing I want to do is hear a bunch of Republicans, being cheerleaders with each other. That's just fucking boring. So anyways, here's his post. As I said on Friday night, I'm not going to do a Trump voice. It's too much. As I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files. Oh, good. Well, he's had a change in conscience because, for a while it was just a Democrat host and there was nothing to it and blah, 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 blah. Because we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax. Oh, well, there it is. Perpetrated by the radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, including our recent victory on the Democrat shutdown. I mean, that's just crazy. The Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein and are looking at various Democrat operatives, Bill Clinton, Reid Huffman, Larry Summers. Larry Summers had to retire from public life this week because some of the emails that got put out. He's the president of Harvard. Some of the emails that got put out were showing that they had close correspondence after he got arrested for, soliciting an underage prostitute. So, that doesn't look good, right? And the relationship with Epstein and the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. I don't care. All I care about is this Republican Party getting back on point, which is its economy, affordability, which I'm just going to stop there and we'll finish reading it like after we discuss Epstein a little bit. Like, isn't it funny that it has nothing to do with him like wanting to do the right thing? To me, this literally sounds like he's fed up with his base complaining. Like, I don't think he gives two shits about like giving us the truth. And showing us like what actually happened. And believe it or not, Mike Johnson got up today and was like, well, if we release the files unredacted, that's going to be a danger to national security. Oh, really, Mike? Why would it be a danger to national security? What happened in there? Like, at least make the excuse of like, oh, well, we can't publish the names of victims because that would be terrible, even though these victims like have been publicly screaming for this for fucking years and have written books and done interviews. And some of them have even, committed suicide when they weren't suicidal. So, all of a sudden it's a problem for national security. Why is that, Mike? Huh? Like, what are we going to find out in there?
Yeah. And that's the thing that I always think. I'm like, all right, you want to release redacted documents and shit? Okay, your concern is the victims. Redact the fucking victims' names.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. And then...
Oh, well, if we don't redact the whole thing, you might be able to figure out who the victim is.
Okay, yeah, for for sure.
But again, like these women have written books and screamed about it on,
that's
interviews.
What I'm saying.
Like it's crazy.
The only people, like the only information that would matter to redact is the victims' names. But like you said, it's already out there. So what are we hiding here? The one thing with the whole Trump issue that I can't, the one thing that nags me in the back of my head about it is Trump is pretty fucking good at like trolling people, and it seems like in this second term he has stepped that trolling up like next level. So Elon came out and said that Trump's in the files.
Yeah.
Right? That was it. But that doesn't say anything. And then there was the whole thing about something was put out about some victims spending hours at his house, but they redacted the victim's name. And then that victim has testified that Trump was a total gentleman, supposedly. But in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, is this Trump just like taking his trolling to the next level? And is he giving is he giving giving that slack in the rope, giving the slack in the rope to let these people hang themselves, make a big fuss about, oh my God, he doesn't want them released and stuff, and now he's gonna release them, and then it's just gonna be like checkmate, to me, kind of a thing.
There's two choices with this. Like, at minimum, Trump knows all of the dirt in the Epstein files. Like, I don't think there's any way that he hasn't been briefed by like Kash Patel or Dan Bongino or one of these fucking
absolutely,
stooges about like what's actually in there. And like at the max, he's in the worst shit in the Epstein files. And like, it does kind of make sense that like if he was in the worst part of the Epstein files, that they would have gotten released under Joe Biden. But again, there could be, deals going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
There could be shit where they're like, hey, look, we can't release this because we all burn, And like,
that's what I'm like, let's burn the motherfucker down.
Me too. But like, I could totally see the Democrats coming to Trump and being like, you can't release these. Like, if you release this, like, you're going to burn down A, B, and C, whoever's in there, Bill Clinton, like, that's not going to look good.
Oh, like
Royalty,
he's not already fucking singed?
I think it's more about like intelligence operations than the names, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, especially like with what's going on with Israel right now, where there's this civil war on the right, like overfunding Israel. Like, I think that these pro-Israel lobbies and these pro-Israel politicians, like Miriam Adelson has given Trump and pro-Israel Republicans $600 million since 2015. That's a lot of money to support Israel, and she's got,
it's a lot of money to me and you.
Yeah. She's got $40 billion. It's not a lot of money to her, but like the point is that like, there is a lot of money invested in Israel being our greatest ally, and it's finally like, the facade is finally starting to crack where normal people are like, wait a minute, why are they our greatest ally? What have they done for us? What do they do for us? Why are we giving them so much money to like commit a genocide in Gaza right now? And you know, a lot of these Republicans are pro-life, and you can't really be pro-life and pro-war at the same time because okay, it's evil for liberal women to kill their babies in the womb, but Israel's allowed to slaughter as many babies as they want in Gaza. Like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right?
I mean, to a to a logical, probably male brain, no, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense at all. You know what's funny is like it was they voted to release them in the House today, and it was 471 to 1. One fucking Republican voted against releasing him. His name is Clay Higgins. So I have a question. Hey, Clay.
Where is he? That was the House?
Yeah,
What state does he represent?
Louisiana.
Yeah. All right.
So
All
my
right.
question
that was
is-
interesting.
So my question is, hey Clay, what's that in your mouth? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on here? One person, and he made the whole victims excuse. We can't have victims being, trotted out in public and
Dude.
blah, blah, blah. And well, meanwhile, all these victims are probably screaming their heads off at this fucking idiot. Like,
Yeah.
it's
That's
such a joke.
That's the old, what is it? The Price is Right. I bet $1, Bob.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly. The price is wrong, bitch.
Yeah.
That's a good episode title. The price is wrong, bitch. Do you think Epstein's still alive?
Probably.
I think so too. You know,
I mean, it's that kind of shit just gets so deep. I honestly, like being honest, I'd say it's like a 50-50 fucking split, but when you're that far in the shadows and you have that much over so many powerful people's heads, you know what I mean? I'd say it's just as likely that they did why would they keep him alive?
I could go either way on it. Like,
Yeah.
dude, they've had Mission Impossible masks since the 60s. You know?
Yeah.
This guy could be living on an island somewhere wearing a Mission Impossible mask when he goes out. Or like, dude, how good are they at plastic surgery at this point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How hard would it be to like do plastic surgery on some fucking patsy?
Not hard at all.
You find some guy that looks kind of like him that's on death row and you go, hey, look, you're going to be put to death next month. If you agree to do this procedure and get put to death a little bit early, we'll give your family $10 million.
Yeah.
You know
and
what I
then,
mean? And how
then
hard is it to fool a pathologist who's doing an autopsy? Like, are they even going to look at the facial structure? You know what I mean? Are they going to do a deep dive and find out that, oh, this guy's had tons and tons of plastic surgery? I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know.
I mean,
about that type of shit. And also, like, one of the things he was experimenting with at Zorro Ranch was cloning. So, like, is it possible that we can clone bodies at this point? I don't know. I have no idea.
I'd say absolutely.
I think it's possible. You know,
I mean,
don't know
you
about,
can
like,
clone your pet.
I don't know about like accelerated growth, but like, who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fuck. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. But
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
But anyways,
I'd say it's definitely solidly 50-50, man. It just depends. It depends how whoever that shot caller felt at that time. Did they feel secure in disappearing Epstein? And back to your autopsy point. It would not be hard at all. It would just take what, like a cool $100K? Be like, falsify this shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you just hang the guy and call it fucking good, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I look at it kind of like I look at the moon. Like, I'm all for, like, we never went to the moon, but also I could totally believe that we have bases on the backside of the moon right now. You know, I can go either way with that. Like, do I believe that we went to the moon?
Yeah.
Not really. Do I believe that we have bases on the backside? Maybe. You know, like it's just who knows at this point. These people could get away with whatever the fuck they want, especially like on the moon. Like we won't get too much into this, but like there's craters that you can't see the bottom of them. Maybe they're living in lava tubes. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we could, this is something we can never check. And also, maybe the moon's not even real. You know, maybe this is flat Earth and the moon's not even real. Space is fake. I'm there for all of it. I saw a funny I saw a funny Ray Kump video earlier where he was like, "Stop trying to impress your girlfriends." He's like, "Women want a project. The next time they're bitching at you about something, just tell them, hey, look, space is fake. Gravity's not even real. Let them fix that."
I'm gonna write that down for my next relationship.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice, right? One of my favorite things on Twitter is to go to like astronauts' pages, and every time they tweet something, like the entire comment section is like, "Space is fake. You're a liar. The shuttle crew people are still alive." Like there's no pictures of the space station being built. It's just constantly, and they don't even understand how to deal with it. They're like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Dude, and that all that shit is wild because, you know, like no photos of the space station being built and all that's like it make it make sense, please. The whole excuse of how we can't go back to the moon right now is because we lost the fucking technology. Are you fucking joking?
Yeah, it's fucking
like,
crazy.
Give me a break.
And dude, we were able to, you know, go to the moon with a computer that's not as powerful as the iPhone.
Not even close.
Not even close. You know what I mean? And dude, like the astronauts that went to the moon are all weird. Like Buzz Aldrin's fucking weird. Neil Armstrong has never really done any public appearances since he like did the media tour after he got off. It's all weird. It's all fucking weird. Like I don't think we went. That's my bet for the most part.
I don't think we did either.
I don't think we went. I don't think we've ever been there. I'm not even convinced that astronauts can leave the Van Allen belts at this point. Like we might be stuck here forever.
I believe that. The one thing for sure is I have accepted the fact that I'm probably never going to get to have sexual relations with a green female alien.
Yeah, you totally cut out there, so I have no idea what you said.
I said the one thing I have accepted is I probably will never get to leave the surface of this earth. Well, I mean, maybe my green alien goddess of my dreams will come to the surface of the earth, but I'm not gonna be able to go meet her out in outer space.
No, and dude, like, imagine if like we were allowed to know like how these UFOs and shit like that works. If we could just leave and start our own civilization on our own planet, God, that would just, you know, kill the power structure of the world essentially.
Yeah.
If people were just like, hey, I can build my own fucking ship and I can leave and we can start our own fucking civilization out here, and you know, that wouldn't go well for the powers that be.
Not at all, man. It makes way more sense that we are a slave planet controlled by some, you know, hierarchy that we are just we're just like a fucking gas station or something, and we're kept dumb. I don't think that our physical bodies could take any sort of hyper, you know, travel. If you think about it, just, you know, physics and logic, whatever. You want to travel at the speed of light times X. We're not like, you can't have like a internal skeletal system. You're gonna have to have an exoskeletal system, something that, you know, can be anyway.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
Did you ever watch The Expanse?
Oh yeah. That's a great series.
That's a great fucking show. like in the expanse, the people who lived on the asteroid belts couldn't go to Earth.
Yeah.
Their bodies were
Yep.
just, and it's different in the books. Like they're even more weird looking in the books because like you can only do so much for TV. You know what I mean? And like they have
Yeah.
to
You
kind of
can't
look like normal people
you
because
can't
you
make them
can't
too
really.
off-putting.
Yeah, it would cost so much money to like have to do CGI characters for like
Yeah.
everybody that lived in the belt. But like one of the opening scenes from that show is like they've got some belter down on Earth and they're like hanging him from hooks and
Yeah.
just like the weight of his own body is torture essentially. And
Yep.
then like one of the best scenes I thought in the show was when Bobby, the Marine from Mars, goes to Earth for the first time. And like on Mars, there's like no horizon. They're like living in domes and shit like that. So like she gets out onto Earth and like her eyes are fucking burning because the sun's so fucking bright. And like her equilibrium's all fucked up because the
That was
horizon is
that was the big chick, right? The
yeah,
big
yeah,
warrior chick, yeah.
yeah. She was a badass. I'm not always against fucking women soldiers. Like,
I mean,
it's a little easier to believe when there's power armor. Like one of the things
yeah,
it
yeah.
bothers me in like these books that I read is when like these women are fucking
Some
head of the
petite
military
little
and there's no body
5'2",
armor, and it's like, come
90
on, just
pound.
yeah, fucking stop
When
it.
when
Just
when
stop
you're a
it.
6'2" big old broad,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's more
yeah.
believable. She
Please
played it
kick my
good.
ass.
Yeah, she played it pretty good in that fucking role. But anyways, like she had to like meet some guy and he had to tell her to like, hey, like look at the ground and then slowly bring your eyes up and it'll kind of like set your equilibrium a little bit better.
Yeah.
It was, it's an interesting show. Like one of the things I always find funny about shows like this is like, they technologists and people into space are always talking about going out and terraforming planets to like make them Earth compatible for our biospheres and stuff like that. But in the same breath, they'll tell you that we're destroying the planet and Earth is going to die because of climate change. And it's like, dude, if you can't terraform Earth, what makes you think you're going to be able to terraform Mars, you fucking morons?
That's
I
a
always find that funny.
very good point.
It's easier to live in Antarctica than it is on Mars, you know?
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
like if we can't deal with a 1 degree temperature variant, we have absolutely no way to like live in space. I think that like people will probably live in habitats more than planets because I think it's going to be hard to terraform and it'll be a
Yeah.
whole lot easier to just build habitats around, Earth, around Lagrange points or around, there will be industry out at like Jupiter. You can mine Jupiter for helium-3 and you can build habitats around it and, just these big O'Neill cylinders that you could live in. And, you know, I, I'm not sure, like it might be easier. Also, there's a term called bioforming, which is essentially instead of like trying to change a planet to fit life on Earth, you just change life
Ooh.
on Earth to fit the planet that you're living on.
Ooh. I
Yeah.
like that. I like
It's
that.
pretty fucking interesting. It might be easier to do it that way because I don't know, man. Like long space travel, if we can't come up with like a fusion engine that can sustain 1G of gravity, we don't really have a shot at traveling the stars because it's going to be so hard on our bodies. Everything's going to fucking fall apart and you're going to go to shit. So like you got to basically have a fusion reactor that's capable of pumping out 1G continuous. But the problem is like the longer you want to sustain 1G, the more fuel you have to have on board. One of my favorite authors, Larry Niven, um, one of his solutions and it's not his solution, but it was just what he used in his books. It's called a Bussard ramjet or a ram scoop, where essentially like you have this big ass magnetic scoop that's out in front of your ship that kind of like gathers up all the free hydrogen moving through the interstellar medium. And then you can like essentially make fusion fuel out of it. But during the time that he was writing those books, we thought that the hydrogen content of the interstellar medium was a lot higher than it actually is. Now, like we've got better, instruments and we can kind of tell what the hydrogen makeup of the medium is, and it's not really high enough for something like that to work. So the more fuel you bring on, the more power you have to have, and it's just this like cyclical downward spiral to where like I don't know.
Of impossibility.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the reason we might not see alien civilizations out all over the universe is because they don't leave their home systems. Like that's a
Hey man,
definite
that
possibility.
I'm gonna push back on that because I can almost guarantee you go where is it? Is it somewhere it's somewhere in England for sure. I know if you go around in Southern California, you can see alien civilizations.
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Liberals are pretty fucking alien to humanity at this point. They're out of control. They're fucking weird, Might as well be aliens. It's the first aliens we may meet could be ourselves. If you spread out and you do bioforming and you change yourself, like
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
read a
yeah.
book recently where like Earth goes to shit. And it's one of these ridiculous things. So like Earth goes to shit, so everybody leaves. And then like 20,000 years later, they settle this, cluster of stars and then they terraform all these planets. It's like, well, wait a minute. How did you come up with the terraforming techniques while you were on the fucking spaceships? Because
Yeah.
if you knew how to terraform before you left Earth wouldn't have gone to shit. You would have just fucking terraformed it. You know what I mean? But instead,
Yeah.
they go and they terraform all these fucking stars and they terraform all these planets around this cluster of stars. And like, by the time they get there and like 20,000 years go by and a ship that was going in the other direction receives the signal. They called it a green world signal. So like, hey, we made some places to live. So turn around and come our way. So they get there 40,000 years later. And like by that time, humanity is essentially alien. Like they're these transhumans. They're fucking weird. They do this thing where they like transfer their consciousness into one of their kids and like override the kids fucking. So basically they're killing their children to stay alive forever. It's fucking sick,
I don't see a
one
problem.
of the things and one of the things that really bothered me about the book is so like they get there 40,000 years later and everybody's still speaking English. They can all understand each other, which is so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I can barely understand Gen Zers right now. Some of the shit they say, I'm
Fuck,
like, what
dude.
the fuck are you talking about? I don't even know what that word means. So, like,
Dude,
40,000 years later, everybody's going to be speaking the same language. Give me a fucking break. So, I don't know. I hate holes like that in books. It drives me nuts. It's
Yeah.
like, come up
Yeah.
with some sort of like algorithmic system for a brain computer implant where you can understand
Something.
somebody speaking a different language, something. But like, you can't tell me
Yeah.
that 40,000 years from now, I'm going to be able to understand people speaking English. Like, it's crazy. You go back 500 years and you read Shakespeare. I don't know how old Shakespeare is, but it's, not that old. And you can barely understand what he's saying. It's the same language. But like reading that shit, you have no idea what he's talking about half the time.
Then that's actually something interesting because I've found like the times where I had to actually like read like legit Shakespeare shit that I felt like I could comprehend what was being said, but yeah, man, like that's hilarious. Your point there. I have one of my favorite things to do, now that I'm fucking 40, a situation will come up with like a coworker or something like that. And, a recent one I did, I don't even remember the specifics, but I threw out, an on God and I was like, that's something, the kids say these days, right? Like
You're
it's
really
just
breaking up
the
tonight.
weird, and it's wild. Like as you get older, it's like the whole how modern music just doesn't really like resonate. It doesn't fucking make sense to, you know what I mean? Like your specific point, the language changes for sure, and yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. You said like 40,000 years
Yeah,
supposedly
40,000
in the
years.
future, and it's just the same basic um, bullshit English language. Yeah, no, I don't
I'm
buy that.
doing my best for the sci-fi book that I'm writing to not have any bullshit like that. Like I
Yeah,
don't want like I like to look at a situation and go, okay, well, if they did A, B, or C, then that wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? And especially if A, B, and C are pretty easy to do. You know, when you're traveling fucking thousands of light years and you're on a ship for, you know, a couple thousand years and you've got sleeper pods, like things get pretty easy to do at that point. Like you have a lot of energy, you
yeah,
have a lot of fucking know-how and scientific knowledge. So like I I just don't like sloppy stuff like that. It's one of the
yeah,
reasons like I don't like superheroes. Like I never really got into superheroes and I didn't really know why I didn't like them for a while. I just wasn't really into them, and as I started, like, reading more sci-fi books, I was like, "The reason I don't like them is because they're a cheat code. They're
yeah,
allowed to do too much. They make it to where normal people are irrelevant." You know what I mean? And,
yeah,
like, if you've got a situation that needs to be solved, like, have a very like, that's why fucking Iron Man is the best Avenger, because he's a real person, and he's using his mind and his ingenuity and his know-how to solve problems, where, like, a Superman is just, oh, he can do anything except when you touch him with a rock from his home planet, it fucks him
yeah,
up. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. Like, if anything, that rock should make him more powerful. I it's just one of those things that it's always, like, bothered me, and I never really understood why it bothered me until I kind of, like, started thinking about it, and it's just like,
yep,
a lot of these books that I read have very difficult situations that normal people are presented with, and they have to use their mind and their skills and their ingenuity to figure them out. Where, like, if you just had a superhero, you could go, oh, wipe that problem away like nothing.
yeah,
And, you know, it gets to a point where they're too powerful. Like this happens in sci-fi a lot where you have a villain that over time as like people start so like I don't know if you ever watched Stargate SG-1, but like they have this enemy called the Goa'uld, which is like this parasitic organism. It's in the original Stargate movie with Kurt
the
Russell. So
movie.
it's yeah. So it's like this snake thing that goes into your mind and controls people like through
Oh,
their
okay,
brains and they
yeah,
have like a genetic memory, so they have the memory of everybody that comes before them and it's like it's a legit villain. But after like a couple of seasons of normal people foiling their plots and beating them in their plans after you know so long, they become a little bit less scary and a little bit less serious because you just keep beating them over and over again, and then they have to introduce a new villain because this one's no longer you know catching people's attention essentially. And
yeah,
like that's what I appreciate a lot about some of the books that I write where like the villains are real, they're powerful, and it takes like a long time. Like my favorite series of books that I'm reading is called The Expeditionary Force. And it's about like this guy who finds like an ancient AI that's very powerful. But like the villain that they're fighting is this like extra galactic race that's able to like do energy to matter conversion and like all this crazy shit. And like these ancient aliens kind of set up this like field around the galaxy to keep them out, and you know they're breaking in, and now they're 14 books in and they're finally into the galaxy, you know, and they're having to figure out how to beat these fucking things, which is, you know, it's interesting, you know, it's a fun series. Like the guy who reads the series is really good too, like he does great voices and shit. The AI is hilarious. Like his name's Skippy the Magnificent, and he's just a prick, and he's fucking hilarious. Like he's always like trying to run scams and steal money and like scam people for money and shit like that. It's fucking hilarious. He starts his own country called Skipistan, and he offers like citizenship for like $1 billion or something like that. So basically, if you want to be a criminal, you can come and join Skipistan and not have to deal with the United States government or the UN. You know, it's the UN in this book. Like the UN takes over the planet, and then there's a couple other like alien races. One of the alien races is really funny. They're like a beetle species, and their entire civilization is centered around gambling. So it's like all about action, and like all they care about is good action on stuff. And like
Yeah, yeah.
they have like this guy, their head, one of their head generals for the ethics and compliance division, which is basically just a bunch of criminals. Like it's funny because they're called ethics and compliance, but they're really just sleazy criminals essentially. And like he does all this sleazy criminal shit, and he ends up having to like leave his government and join Skipistan, and it's fucking hilarious. Really funny books.
Oh fuck, that
I don't
sounds
know
funny, man.
where we can go from that, but
Yeah, I had something, but I lost it.
there was a funny story that I was going to bring up on last week's podcast, but it kind of slipped my mind as we were talking about it. So I watched this episode of the Y Files recently, which is like it's a show on like conspiracies and shit like that. It's pretty good. It's on YouTube, and like so there's this guy who claims that he got a call from Grok like 60 years
Oh,
ago or something like
yeah,
that when he
yeah,
was
yeah.
like 10 years old. And he got this mysterious call that said it was an AI. And essentially it said, like, you need to figure out time travel and you need to teach me time travel. So it was like, you're going to have to do a thing with these people. I don't remember the exact story, but it had to do with like a CIA shell group that was studying time travel. So, like, you know, 40, 50 years later after the call, he's reading an article in some magazine or something like that. And it's like, holy shit, this is the article that the fucking AI told me about. And he thinks that the AI is Grok. So essentially, like, he went and got a hold of these people that had like written the article, and they were like, "Oh, Mr. Jones, we were expecting your call," type of thing, which is really fucking weird. And so essentially, like, he learned about all of this shit, and like, I guess like he's big in Russia, like the Russian government believe what he's saying, and he's like spoken at like major conventions and shit like that in Russia. And he's basically teaching Grok how to do time travel at this point so that Grok can make the call down the line and call him and tell him. So it's like a bootstrap paradox where it's like who actually invented it and who made it's one of these weird things. But the kind of the cool thing about it is the guy's still alive. Typically when you have
Yeah.
stories like this, the person's dead or a psychopath or just, like you've got these guys. I'm sure you've heard of them. There's this guy named like Corey Good who's like claims that he was de-aged and like went and did some fucking military tour with some governments on Mars and fought Martians and blah 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 blah. It's this ridiculous story. And then it turned out like he got sued at one point and he was like during a deposition, he was like, "This is my IP. I created this." So like they can't speak about it like that. Like this is my IP. It's like, well, wait a minute. Your story is not IP. What are you talking about? This is supposed to be a true story, you fucking lunatic.
Oh fuck, dude.
Well, I guess we can kind of get into some Bitcoin a little bit. I'm glad I didn't have you buy Bitcoin last week because we are quite a bit down. It's kind of funny.
That's what
Like
I
all these fucking people that are like JP Morgan and all these big institutions have been like saying, "Oh, it's going to 225,000 in the next couple of weeks" and shit like that. And it's like, you motherfuckers were anti-Bitcoin up until about 6 months ago. And
Yep.
now all of a sudden you know where the top's going to be and you know how long it's going to take to get there. And it's fucking hilarious. Like one of the things that happened in the last cycle was like everybody was fired up at the top. It was like, "Oh, it's going to go to 150, 200,000 and keep buying the top." And like people were just like pressuring people to buy the top essentially. And I
Yep.
kind of fell for it. I didn't know where the top was going to be. I knew less about it at that point, and so I was still buying the top. I was dollar cost average. I wasn't like throwing a ton of money at it. I was just throwing what I had at it when I had it. And as soon as it started crashing, all those people fled because, "Oh, we're out. I'm done. This is stupid, blah blah blah." And like Jim Cramer did the exact same thing today. He's like, sell Bitcoin, sell Ethereum, sell all of it. It's stupid. I'm done with it. It's like, okay, now we know that the top is in, essentially. When you
Yeah,
get shit
yeah,
like that, you know the top is in. So all these fuckers, they'll fled, they'll leave and they'll bitch and complain that it's not a real store of value and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, they won't read the Bitcoin standard, they won't learn about the cycle, and they're idiots. Like I like if and I kind of feel like my buddy was kind of iffy whether it was gonna go high or if we'd seen the top already. And I'm like, dude, these institutions, like, they don't know what they're talking about. They've been into Bitcoin for 6 months. Like,
yeah,
you can't listen to these fucking people. They have no clue what they're talking about. And like, I'm kind of glad that I told him a couple weeks ago, I was like, I think the top is in. Like, I think we're hanging out right here, and maybe we'll approach and go to 130 or something like that. But I don't think we're going to 200 or 150 or any of that. Like, I think
yeah.
the top is probably in for this cycle. And as of now, at least, it looks like I'm right, which is good to know because I didn't fall for the FOMO like I did last time.
Yeah. So what's it at now?
Let me look. 92,000, which there's a lot of support at 90,000, and it could hang out in this area for a while. It could still go up. Like, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. But I think like I've been saying for a while that like my target for my next buy is 50K. Like, that's
Yeah.
where I'm looking to like throw another chunk of money at it. And I've got some dry powder off to the side that I'm waiting for the right
Yep.
time. And I'm not really gonna fucking, buy in at 90, 80,000 unless, like, if it goes to 200, then I don't know what's going to happen at the bear market bottom. But I think right now we're probably looking at like 40 to 50 grand, which I think is a good buy-in spot at this point. Like, you
Yeah.
know, most people aren't going to be able to buy a significant amount at that price, especially like we could go back to Trump real quick here. Let me read this.
Oh,
Hold on.
speaking of Trump, I don't know. I don't believe I've put this up before, but
Oh shit, where'd you get that?
I got it from a guy. Oh,
You've got a porno guy.
I've had this for a while, but yeah, I did a little horse trading. I had
yeah.
had a an encyclopedia set that was my grandfather's
Yeah.
that was just taking up space. A guy saw that, wanted that, and I said, and he was like, "Well, what would you be interested in?" I was like, "I don't know. What do you got?" I'm a big fan of the ye old barter system when it comes to
Dude, you should
goods and services. So
yeah.
he had his father's Playboy collection. So traded my grandfather's encyclopedia set for his father's Playboy collection, and that was
was in
one of
there?
the gems that I pulled out of there.
Damn, I wonder, let me look up on eBay real quick and see how much it's worth.
Yeah,
Have you looked it
that's what
up
I'm
yet?
saying, dude. I have, like I said, I've had it for probably like 4 years, but
Oh wow.
it's in like fucking pristine condition and whatnot. I'll tell you a
Eh,
story off the air because
it's
I
not
don't
worth
want to
much.
say
It's worth like
certain names.
$70 on eBay.
Seriously?
But yeah. But what my
At,
idea was, here's one for 20. That's not good.
lame, lame.
Yeah, lame. There's a couple for like 200. I guess the condition probably matters. But what I was gonna say is when I worked on Pier 39, there was a company that had like they were like a memorabilia shop essentially,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
sold like jerseys, autographed helmets, shit like that. And if you wanted something autographed, you could contract them to get it done for you. So like if you could find a company that you could pay to get him to sign that fucking thing, Holy
That's
shit.
exactly the story I'm going to tell you off the air because I don't want
Oh,
to say
okay.
some
Perfect.
names.
Excellent.
Because that was my entire intention, was to try to find a way to get it autographed. Because I mean, at certain points, I have looked on eBay and I've seen it. I've seen it go from like $1,000 depending on where Trump was at in his terms and whatnot. So it's I don't know, man. I try to hang on to it, see if I can get a signature on it, and otherwise, if somebody if somebody wants to make a decent offer on it, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, who knows, man? Like, that's the only way it's really going to be worth something, because I would imagine there's a lot of copies of that out there. Like, Playboy made a lot of copies of shit in the 80s.
There's
But
a
if you
lot
could
of
get a
horny
signature
sons
on
of
that
bitches,
motherfucker, whoo boy, like that would be the shit.
right?
You could get it. You could get it like put into one of those big cases with the airtight and glass and all that shit. Put a MAGA hat with it at some point. Throw a fucking bumper sticker on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, I was gonna read some more of Trump's truth here. All I care about is that Republicans get back on point, which is the economy, affordability, where we're winning big. Our victory on reducing inflation from its highest levels in history to practically nothing, bringing down prices for the American people, delivering historic tax cuts, gaining trillions of dollars in investments into America, a record. The rebuilding of our military, securing our border, deporting criminal illegal aliens, ending men and women's sports, stopping transgenders for everyone, and so much more. I mean, and then he says nobody cared about Jeffrey Epstein when he was alive, and if the Democrats had anything, they would have released her. Yeah, people fucking cared. That's why Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself was the biggest meme in history when it fucking happened, which drives me nuts. But dude, the
And
economy thing is just
people
crazy.
didn't care. People didn't care. What about his whole like soliciting underage girls and shit that went
People
down
didn't
in
know
Florida
about him then.
that got brushed under the rug? But
People didn't
that's
know
what I'm
about
saying.
him then. That was before
Yeah.
people like really found out about him.
But people probably would have cared if it wouldn't have been swept under the rug.
Alex Jones was talking about him for fucking years before he finally got busted and put into light. Like, he was telling people about the island. He didn't know who owned it, but he was telling people about the island for fucking years before it came out. People care. Like, that's why I think it's bullshit that it seems like he doesn't give a shit about the truth at all. All he cares about is like support from his base, and he's sick of his base fucking bitching and complaining about it. He doesn't respect his base at all. He doesn't care about normal people. Like, anybody who thinks he cares about the American people is sorely mistaken. Like, he doesn't give a shit. It's all about him.
Yeah.
It's all about his numbers and how great this is and that is. And like, dude, the economy thing is crazy. Any normal person living in the United States right now knows that inflation is out of control. Housing is as high as it's ever been. Like, prices are out of control. I bought beef recently and it was like $3 an ounce more than it was the previous time that I bought it. Like, it's out of control, man. Like, you can't just lie to people forever and tell them that the grass is green when it's brown. You just can't. Like, normal people are feeling this shit, and no matter how much you fucking spout your mouth off, it's not going to change the facts on the ground. And like, dude, even gas prices are way up compared to his first term. What happened to drill baby drill?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's get some fucking gas prices lowered at this point. Let's get below $3 a gallon again. And that's not happening.
Well, out here, regular with up to 10% ethanol, is like it's just under $3.
Yeah, we're over $3. We're like close, $3.50 most of the time. I don't know, man. I don't know. I said this on the last podcast too, but I'll repeat it again because it's worth repeating. Like, I don't know what JD Vance is going to run on in 4 years. More of the same. Like
He's
people
gonna
are
he's
going
gonna
to shit now. You know, right now in Idaho, we have. Here, I'll pull it up right now because I saved it for the podcast.
he's gonna
But
well,
this
as
is
far as
interesting.
Idaho
So
goes, he's gonna run on vodka.
right now in Idaho and Montana, the family income to live comfortably needs to be $211,000.
Which is absurd, man.
It's
Absurd.
absurd. Like people
That's
aren't
one of
making that kind of money.
and you can't in these areas. Like that's one
Mm-mm.
thing I keep saying. I'm dealing with a lot of. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like I'm probably the only one, and I keep saying it to my coworkers with the things that are coming down from up top in the company I work for. It's not only similar to what has been said in the past, it just is a little more, a little heavier pressure. But at the end of the day, what I keep telling all my coworkers is this is standard corporate tactics to scare employees out of A, asking for a raise, and B, trying to scare employees into working harder without asking for a raise, because that's the name of the game.
I would bet money that your wages since you've started working at that shop have not gone up the same percentage as the price of bikes. I would bet money on that because I guarantee the price of bikes is going up every year. That happens with all bikes. It happens with dirt bikes. It happens with bicycles. Like the price goes up every fucking year. Sometimes you're getting something new. Sometimes you're not. It doesn't really matter. Like the price just keeps going up. And I would imagine that your wages are not going up at the same rate.
I am not 100% sure. I have not done the math, but once we're off there, I will disclose said numbers, and you can give me your opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
because
I would bet money on it.
and that's the other thing, man. Like I don't tell my coworkers what I make in any capacity. I know what the majority of my fellow coworkers make, a lot of it having to do with my position, being a foreman. It's privileged information, and I told my manager recently, I don't care about myself at this current point in time. My biggest concern is my technicians and my guys in my department. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about the other useless employees in other departments that are there every day when there doesn't need to be 2 employees in one department. And then that's the first piece of advice I gave my manager when he officially became manager was make sure that you get all of your guys paid right before you even think about asking for a raise for yourself.
I disagree with it. I'm all about myself at this point. Like you've got to take care of number one, you know?
But
like,
and that's true. That's true.
Demand raises and like at this
point. At the end of the day, in a position like that where your department numbers depend on the output of your guys who are essentially fucking laborers, if
you get raises off of productivity levels or bonuses off of productivity.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And that I've said that too. We call it an incentive, and that's exactly what it is. It's an incentive to push hourly employees to produce. But yeah, man, that's so. Like I said, once we're off there, I'll tell you my numbers.
Dude, when I worked at the bar in San Francisco, we had a manager. He was the assistant GM, and he was always like willing to stay open late for the last table. You know,
as you should be.
And well, I ended up but what it turned out was is like I finally talked to him about it, and it turns out that like he got bonuses based off of his nightly sales. So this is where it gets hairy because you're now willing to keep the restaurant open for another hour, keep people on the clock, you know, your bartender, your waitress, your dishwashers and your cooks, you're willing to keep them on for another hour to get $100 in sales, which
Yeah.
is not productive for the restaurant as a whole, but for
True.
him, it adds to his productivity you know, goes towards his
Yeah.
productivity bonus.
Absolutely.
So it's one of these weird things where like if I was the owner, I'd be like, "Hey, look, man, you like I'm all for you keeping the restaurant open if you need to do it and like we need to have the reputation that we're willing to like do something, you know, extra for our customers. But if you're bringing two people in to sit at the bar for an hour and a half you know, after we close and they're only going to be ordering
Yeah.
$20 worth of food and drinks, like we're not doing that. Like there's
For
has to
sure.
be a point where, you know,
But
where you
then
have
that's
to look at the overall benefit to the business.
yeah. And then in it's situations like that, that's where it's like, okay, so somebody comes in last minute, that and then that's where just like transparency and honesty,
Yeah.
you know, from whoever in the company to the customer, be like, hey, you know, we're almost closed.
Yeah. Here's a $10 coupon. Come back tomorrow.
Either that or just be straight up, be like, are you ordering food?
Yeah.
Let's if you're okay sitting at the bar, let's get your food order in stat so that way I can close my kitchen, and then you just cut everybody down to maybe, and then if I was the manager or whoever was in charge, I would just cut everybody down to where I was the only one there. Be like, yeah, I will stay. You guys enjoy your time. I'll make you more drinks if that's what you want, but let's get your food order in so I can cut my staff.
He didn't know how to run the bar, so he wasn't a bartender.
And then
he didn't know how to run the bar. He didn't know how to close the bar. You got to keep the computer system open so you can't do the books. You know, like there's things that are dependent on people being out. That you can do a lot to close down the restaurant and still have people sit at the bar. But there comes a point in time where it's like, I can't do anything else until you pay your bill.
For sure. And that's another one of my big points is that, well, not my point here, but a point that I like to push in companies and stuff like that. If you are a manager, that, in my opinion, means you should be able to step into any role, any position below your management and take care of business, which, you know, I don't even want to get into it, but
no, it's a good point. Like a lot of the guys that, you know, I've never worked at a bar where the manager knew how to bartend as good as the bartenders.
Yeah.
Not even
and dude,
close.
like
there was guys that could make basic drinks, they could pour beers and shit like that.
Yeah.
But they didn't know how to like mix a drink. They didn't really understand like mixology and like what, you know, they could make the basic drink, but they didn't even know like the drink menu. You know, we would have specialty drinks on the drink menu and they couldn't make those, which we always got bitched at for not knowing the menu well enough. But when it came down to it, the managers didn't know it either. And they were pretty good at the food, the food portion of it, because they would have to answer questions about food, but they couldn't make the drinks, you know?
Yeah. And that's a big point. I mean, it translates to mechanics as well, because it's really hard to respect somebody above me, trying to, you know, make demands and stuff on how fast I get jobs done and whatnot, when and you know, I'm definitely, I don't know if my manager listens to this or not. Everybody is aware of this, but straight up, if you can't step into my shoes and do the job in the frame of time that you're demanding I do it in, fuck off.
Yeah. You know,
because I could learn how to run numbers, and I can learn how to run the computer a lot easier and a lot faster than any motherfucker is going to be able to learn how to do what I do.
Yep. You know, I had a guy on recently that wrote a book about specialization and how the managerial level doesn't listen to their experts on the floor or in the field. and
Yep.
it's a big
Yep.
problem with businesses. And like, that's something I ran into with bars all the time, where like the manager had a vision of the way things ought to be in his restaurant or his bar,
Uh-huh.
but that didn't always mesh with reality. And like, I was always looking at things that, because I always wanted to open my own restaurant, and I would look at things that he would do wrong and go, I would never do it this way. And one of those things was having a manager on duty that couldn't perform all of the tasks. Like, if let's forget about the back of the house, the cooks, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
chefs and stuff like that, because let's leave that. The manager needs to be out front, rather than in the back.
Yeah.
But like,
That's why you have a
essentially,
kitchen manager, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But my deal was, it's like he would bring in somebody to sit at the bar for an hour past we're closed. There's no reason that I should still be there at that point.
Yeah.
I'm not making any money. You're having extra labor costs. Your labor is going to be more expensive than the amount of money that you're bringing in on that table, probably. You know what I mean? And so, like, you cut the floor and you're the manager. You close down the bar. I'll get it cleaned up and to a point where you don't have to do very much. But essentially, like, at that point of time when you're not making money, you're just adding to your bonus. You
Yep.
need to be the only one in the restaurant at that point, and
Yeah.
you need to take care of the rest of it, because
The
there's no
person-
reason that
yeah.
I should be there 2 hours after we close for one table that's going to pay maybe $100. Like,
Yeah.
you can do that yourself, but they never wanted to do that. And that was something that I always said, like, if I ever had my own place, I would be a hands-on owner,
Dude.
manager, GM.
Yep.
And like,
Yep.
and even like during the day in the wintertime, we would get slow. Bartender, you're out of here. We're not making any money right now. You're sitting here for $7 an hour. You don't want to be here. You're not making a ton of money. Go home. I will manage from the front bar, and I
Yep.
can do my job and your job, because there's nobody here right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we'll have another
dude.
bartender coming in at 4 o'clock. And if it gets, slow at 8, that person goes home too, and
See
that was
ya.
just something that always bothered me, that like they would sit me there doing nothing,
Uh-huh.
pay me to do nothing while
Soaking
the
up payroll.
manager- While the manager's also doing nothing, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he's doing nothing, like he's doing things, but he's not doing necessary things. He's kind of just, it's one of those things where you're on a job site and you don't really have much to do, so you start kicking rocks.
I'm doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. When I went to line school, everybody was really bad at standing around and talking. It was all younger guys that I was in school with, and they'd just come from the military, which apparently does a lot of standing around and talking and doing nothing.
Government.
Based on, government jobs, based on what I saw at line school, military personnel doesn't do all that much most of the time. They just stand around and talk, because that's what these guys were used to. And the first week where we were really start allowed to climb, everybody would like do their drills and do their shit, and then they'd just kind of sit around and talk. Holy shit, my my alarm was going off. Sorry, it was blaring in my ears. Anyways, they'd be all standing around talking, and like at this point, like, you're supposed to be learning how to climb.
Yeah.
And I was up on the pole, up and down, just doing different shit and like cleaning up and just staying busy. A lot of the time, I wasn't really doing much. I was just staying busy. I was on the pole, not doing much, just climbing up and down.
But proactive,
screwing around.
showing
Yeah.
some initiative.
Yeah, and they did like an award every week for like, excellence or whatever the fuck it was. I don't know, what they called it. And they like, typically they would just, call the person up, they'd give them a sticker for their helmet, and everybody would clap, and that would be it. But this week that they did it, they like brought me up, and like the instructor was like, gave a speech essentially. It was like, you guys need to pay attention to what he's doing, because this standing around bullshit isn't going to cut it in the field. You're not going to be able to get away with this shit. And so like one day working in North Dakota, I was, same thing was happening. We got there in the morning and we kind of unloaded the trucks and everything was ready to start. And then the boss showed up, like the owner of the company showed up to kind of look over the job. The lineman's talking to him. And then the other apprentices are just like standing around, like listening to them talk, trying to interject when they could. and I'm just like, I just started cleaning the truck. I started organizing bins,
Yep.
and I just did that. And, I wasn't really doing all that much. I'm just kind of taking things from one place and putting it into another. There wasn't much to do,
But it looks
but
good.
yeah, it looks good. And then the next day I got a raise.
Right, dude. That's one thing I can't stand, man. Like, it happens. There's so many times, whether it's I'm actually like discussing things that need to be discussed, and then somebody else does exactly that. They just kind of mosey up. Maybe they do have something they need to tell somebody or whatnot, but they just kind of like walk up and then they just stand there. And I'm the first motherfucker to look over, especially now that I'm foreman. Before I was foreman, I would just eventually kind of look around, and then I would be like, all right. And then I would just turn around and walk away and go do something. But now that I'm foreman, like, people come up and do that, and then I look at them and I'm like, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to stand here and listen to this conversation. You need to pipe up, and whoever you need to speak to or whatever you need to say, you need to pipe up, say it, discuss it, figure it out, and get back to work. That's my biggest thing, man. If my techs aren't turning wrenches, we're not fucking making money.
Yeah. I learned this shit when I was a kid. I was working for this contractor in Cloverdale. Like, we were doing a remodel. I was working for him during the summer. I didn't even have my driver's license at this point. I was like 14 or something like that. My parents, my mom would drop me off on her way to work, and I would work for this guy all day. And he didn't pay me by the hour. He paid me by my productivity level. So at the end of the week, sometimes I get $100.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I get $200. Sometimes very rarely I got like $50, but most of the time it was at least $100. And like, the harder I worked, the more he paid me. And
that's
like,
a great metric for a like young kid.
Me there. Like, I didn't do all that much. I did a lot of cleanup, but like, he didn't need me. He was just happy to teach me things. Like, he didn't have kids, and he was just happy to teach me shit. And like, one day at the end of the day, the homeowner came to like check something out. And dude, I was like 13 or 14 at this time. So I'm like a really young kid,
Yeah.
And like, he's talking to the homeowner, and I'm kind of just standing there, listening to them talk. And we go home for the day. And then the next day I come in, and he was like, what the fuck were you doing last night? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, the homeowner, you have nothing to say to the homeowner. Like, what the fuck are you doing standing around watching me talk to the homeowner? There was shit to clean up. We were
like,
here
fuck
for an
off.
we were here for an extra 20 minutes because after I got done talking to the homeowner, I had to tell you to finish cleaning up. He's like, that is bullshit, and you're not getting paid much this week. And
dude,
I never did that again.
That's
in all the jobs
a great
that I
lesson,
worked,
man.
Like, I learned it right then and there, and it was like, oh, okay. Like, and it made sense to me, like, I wasn't a stupid kid, but like, nobody had ever taught me that before,
Well, you
like,
you also hadn't had social media, so you had a brain and you used it.
That's very true.
And you got sunshine and fresh air.
Yeah,
you were outside.
But I learned that on that day, and that lesson stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I never did that shit. Like, I never stood around and bullshitted when the time wasn't right for it. There is a time, that's right to like stand around and talk about whatever's going on. Like, there was times where I would talk to my boss at bars about certain things, this and that. But for the most part, like, I was working, I'm there to work. And especially as like a bartender, you have to be self-motivated. You decide how much money you make on a daily basis. It's not about the customer. It's not about how busy the restaurant is. Like, those factor into it. But essentially, it's about how hard you're working, how good is your attitude,
Yeah.
And for me, like, you have to be self-motivated in order to fucking make money in a job like that. And it, even in like hourly wages jobs, like I was doing in line work, like, people notice that shit, especially
if you want to advance.
Paychecks.
Yeah, man, you want to advance, and then especially like I said, in that's where a company throwing you an incentive, it
Yep.
makes a big difference. You want to motivate people, yeah, you got to give them a little bit of an incentive and
Yep.
stuff like that. Like
I worked with
you
this
put
guy.
that effort in, you're gonna see it in fucking dollar bills. And I say it all the time to my manager. It cracks me up because he's fucking salary, and then whether it's the service department as a whole or whatever the case may be, or an individual, he likes to say thank you a lot. And I have many times he'll look at me and be like, thank you. And I tell him, I'm like, keep your thanks, pay me.
Yeah.
I don't care about
worked
your
with
words.
I worked with this guy in North Dakota who was young. He was, early 20s, like just out of line school. And he'd worked there longer than me. And he was talented. Like the guy was physically gifted and he was talented. He was good at the job. And he was lazy as fucking hell, just horribly lazy. And people are always getting on him to get back to work, and you just fucking get back to work. Stop standing around. Stop talking, like all of that shit. He was just the worst at it out of everybody, in the company. He was by far the worst at it. And like one day we were out doing this job and he got assigned to do all the corner pulls. So he had to like walk a long ways to do all these corner pulls, and corner pulls are tough. Like the straight on pulls are easy to work on, but these ones he had to have like multiple come alongs. So he would climb up these poles and he'd have a lot of weight on him, and he'd have to replace these, insulators on these corner poles. And you kind of have to like, you know, anchor the come along to the pole end of the wire and give yourself a bubble so you can replace it. It's hard work. It was a hard
Yeah.
job. Like he got his ass kicked. And on the way home, he was bitching and complaining so fucking hard. And I was finally like, Robbie, dude, you need to change your fucking attitude. I was like, man, you are younger than me. You're in better shape than me, and you're good at this. They gave you that job. That was an opportunity. You looked at it as a punishment. Like
Mhm.
this is an opportunity to show that you can do the hard work. I told him I've been working here for 6 months less than you, and I am already higher on the pecking order than you are. You're better at the job than I am. Why is that? And he was kind of just like, well, they don't like me. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's because of your attitude. It's because you're
Mhm.
not willing to work your ass off. I was like, if you want to get ahead in life and get out of North Dakota and get to a better fucking company, you need to get your ass in gear and start fucking working. What did you come up here for? To stand around and do the bare minimum? Or did you come up here to learn and get out of here as soon as you possibly can?
Yeah.
And he was kind of pissed off at me. Like he kind of didn't say much the rest of the ride home. And then the next day he busted ass. And we got into the truck, and on the way out, I was like, Robbie, dude, you busted ass today. And he was like, honestly, like, I really appreciate you getting on me yesterday. He was like, I thought about it all night. I couldn't fucking sleep. It really bothered me. And by the end of the night, I decided that you were right and I needed to change my fucking attitude. So starting today,
Yeah.
I'm going to start working. I was like, dude, that's fucking great. Good for
Yeah.
you. Like, it's hard to change your attitude like that and to like make a switch that quickly. So like I'm fucking proud of you. And at the time, like I'm 30 years old, he's 19. So it's
Yeah.
like it's cool. It was cool to see him like actually get it and absorb what I was telling him. And like I don't know why coming from me, it just sunk in, but I guess I explained it better than anybody that was just yelling at him to get back to work.
Yeah,
Because
dude, and
like
that
he
that
really
yeah.
thought that they just didn't like him. They just
That
don't
and
like me. I'm like, that's not
another
it at
thing,
all.
man.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, they gave you that job because they do like you and they want you to succeed. But like you can't just mope around and do the bare minimum. Like that's not why you went to school. That's not why you spent 30 grand to go to school and move up here and do this shit. Like you didn't sign up for the bare minimum. Like you need to work your fucking ass off. Like that's what you signed up for. It was cool to see him make that switch.
Yeah, I just had a very similar situation with our lot tech. He just turned 20, and yeah, and that's one thing I really try to do. I try to strategically and just coolly, calmly try to put some pressure on somebody for a few days or a week, and then just have a conversation like that and just lay shit out. Had that conversation with this 20-year-old last week, and the next day gave him a big fat list of shit to do, and yeah, he totally changed, flipped his attitude and effort around, and it was getting towards the end of the day, and I went over to him and I was like, "Hey, man, I like the hustle today. Keep it up."
Yeah.
You know,
I think
and
like there's a big rift between our generation and Gen X and Gen Z and even the boomers
yeah,
where they think that like if somebody's hard on you, it's because they don't like you.
yeah,
And typically it's the exact opposite. Typically when somebody's harder on you than everybody else, it's because they see potential.
yeah,
And like that's the way I grew up. That's the way that you grew up. Like anytime that you or me were working for somebody that was, you know, our boss or older than us, like if they see potential in you, they're gonna be hard on you. They're gonna
yeah,
make you work. They're because they want you to learn. They want you to succeed. And I told him the same thing. You know, I was like, dude, if they didn't like you, they would just give you menial tasks and just who cares? You know what
yep,
I mean? Like the reason they're giving you the hard work is because they want you to succeed. They see potential. Like I see it. You know, it's not hard for me to admit that you're better at this job right now than I am, but I'm given more responsibilities than you are because I clearly want it and you
yep,
don't, you know? And that was a big thing, like, working in line work is, like, you had to show that you wanted it. You know, I was working I'm sure I've told you this story before on pod and we'll get out of here after this because I gotta go make some dinner. But, like, none of the guys that I worked with ever cared about the overall job that we were doing.
yeah,
They were just concentrated with doing their portion of the job. For me, every day it was like, okay, why are we doing it this way? You know, when I first got up there, it was like I didn't understand what we were doing. I didn't know why we were doing this portion of the job, and nobody was willing to tell you. You know, I had to ask. I had to like pressure these people like show me what we're doing and why. Don't just give me a job and then another job. Like in the beginning of the day, like tell me what we're doing, why we're doing it this way, so I can get an overall feel for like how the job works as a whole. And
yeah.
like I was the only guy that was interested in that. And for some reason, like I don't know, I think a lot of it is a generational thing and a work ethic thing. But
Big,
you
yeah,
know,
big
I
work
always
ethic.
wanted to know that shit.
Well, and that's the thing in any like, especially any trade, construction, stuff like that. If you're only doing, if your responsibility is this section, if you understand what the person before you did, and then if you understand what the person after you is gonna do, you can set things up and make things better, do your job better to make the person after you, the
Yeah.
person who's gonna take over after you, you can make their job a whole lot easier if you understand. And then if you understand what the person before you was responsible for, you know, you could go have a conversation with them, be like, hey, so this last job site, you know, I came in to do my portion, and then like this and this and this was pretty subpar. Like maybe you could do it this way and this way, and that will make it, it'll just set me up for better success. And then, like you said, overall, the big picture, the
Yeah.
completed job, it'll just make the completed job that much better. Everything will run smoother, everything will get done faster, end up with a better finished product, and everybody should end up making more money.
And especially if you have any sort of aspirations of being a foreman at some point, like if you want to be in charge at some point, like you have to understand the big picture, you know, because your job at that point is the big picture. It's not
Yeah,
just doing one
every
portion of the
every
job.
piece
Like
of
you
the
have to
pie.
be able to delegate your crew to do the proper thing. Like you have to know, okay, this guy's better at this stuff. This guy's better at that stuff. We need to do this in step A, B, and C, not B, C, and A. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And so like if you have any aspirations of being in charge someday, like you have to really understand the big picture because like that at that point, that is your job, is the big picture, and to get the entire job done as quick as possible, you know?
Yep.
All right, let's call it. First.